Hey, this is Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my videos. Please like and subscribe. I sincerely appreciate that. In this video, I'm going to reveal my top 10 time travel albums of all time. I'm going to get to what I mean by that, time travel albums, in a minute. After I reveal my top 10 time travel albums of all time, I'm going to review 2 jazz albums. Those of you who are new to my videos, I am mainly known for reviewing jazz albums. So I'm going to review 2 jazz albums in this video. And also after that, at the end of this video, I'm going to give my opinion or a brief review of the Brad Pitt movie F1. You definitely want to check that review out. And also I'm going to compare and contrast that to another classic racing movie. But what do I mean by top 10 time travel albums of all time? What I mean by that specifically is, if I can travel through time to a recording session of a specific album, what album and recording session would I travel to? I'm going to give my top 10 time travel albums of all time in this video. Now, this top 10 is not in any specific order. Just top 10 albums that I would love to sit in those recording sessions, but they're not in any specific order. And also on this 10, I did not include live albums, because it would have been easy for me to put, like, you know, the Woodstock record set on this list, and I would have been cool with just that one, or, you know, the Monterey, you know, Pop Festival, some of the great Montreux jazz recordings. I didn't include live recordings. These are just studio recordings. Again, these are album sessions, which I wish I can get in a time travel machine and travel through time and sit in these recording sessions. There was a TV show called The Time Tunnel. I think on this show they traveled from historical event to historical event, but they were stuck in time. They couldn't get back. I would do this under the condition they could get my butt back to my music room. But I'm going to start with this one. Steely Dan, the 1977 masterpiece Asia. If I can travel through time in a time travel machine and sit in on these sessions, I definitely would. Donald Fagen, the great songs called Black Cow, Deacon Blues, and Peg. I would have loved to sit in the recording sessions of Steely Dan's Asia, their 1977 masterpiece, no doubt about it. And to see Jimi Hendrix in studio, man, that would have been sensational. The Jimi Hendrix experience, I would definitely wish I could travel through time and sit in on these sessions by the Jimi Hendrix experience, no doubt. The greatest electric jazz, not jazz, but greatest electric rock player of all time. Please leave your comments in the comment section below on that subject. But I'd love to travel through a time machine and see Jimi Hendrix in the recording studio. Similarly, I would love to see Nina Simone. This is her Pastel Blues album, but she has this fantastic cover of the song Sinner Man, and see her dramatic performance on that song live in studio would have been simply sensational. So I had to include the great singer Nina Simone on my list. And again, these are not in any specific order. And you can leave yours in the comment section below. It could be like, you know, the Beatles, the Doors, the Who, the Rolling Stones, Cream, whoever you like to travel through a time machine and see their recording sessions as they were recording it live. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. I may went over mine by 1 or 2. I might have maybe 11 or something like that. Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66 is one of my greatest pop bands of all time. And to see this band with the great creative mind of Sergio Mendes and lead vocals of Lanny Hall, I would love to be in A&M Studios when that album was created and just see that recording process. I think Herb Alpert may have been involved in those recording sessions as well. I would love to sit in those recording sessions. Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66, Fool on the Hill. And this one is as well. I think Artha Franklin is the greatest female singer of all time. So I'd love to see her in the studio via a time travel machine. The name of the album is Young, Gifted, and Black. That's the name of the album. And one of my favorite Artha Franklin songs is Daydreaming. So it would have been cool to sit in on these sessions, the Young, Gifted, and Black Artha Franklin sessions. That would have been sensational. I love classical music, and this one is one of my favorite classical albums, Luciano Berio, Symphonia. And this features the Swingle Singers, and it is a sensational classical album. Really a great performance by the Swingle Singers as well, and I love to would have been able to sit in on these recording sessions, no doubt about that. And also Lennon, McCartney, Harrison, Starr, the Beatles, Sgt Peppers. It was like almost a tie between this. I think their Help album could have been the album with at least in the United States, with the song Yesterday. And it would be cool to see Paul McCartney sing that song Yesterday in studio, but I'm going to go with Sgt Peppers because it has another one of my favorite Beatles songs, She's Leaving Home, on this great Sgt Peppers album. And this album, from a musical genius, it would have been cool to see these sit in on the recording process of this album, the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, and the mastermind, the late great Brian Wilson, in his masterful creation, and to see the process of creating this insanely great masterpiece. Man, it would have been great to sit in those sessions. So if I can travel through a time machine, that will be one of my stops. The Pet Sound Sessions, the Beach Boys. This vocalist is one of the greatest vocalists of all time, my father's all-time favorite, my late great father. And this album is Frank Sinatra, September of My Years, because it has a song, what is the song? It Was a Very Good Year is the name of the song. And that's one of my favorite Frank Sinatra songs. So I would definitely want to see Frank Sinatra live in performance in studio performing It Was a Very Good Year. And lastly, now this album, I'll show you the album, kind of blew Miles Davis, but it was almost a tie between Miles Davis' kind of Blue, his Bitches Brew album, and John Coltrane's A Love Supreme. So since I can only choose one, I'm going to choose Kind of Blue because it has Cannonball Adderley on the album. This was an all-star cast of Julian Cannonball Adderley, Paul Chambers, Jimmy Cobb, John Coltrane, Bill Evans, and Wynton Kelly. I might travel through a time machine to drop me off of these sessions. I might immediately start crying. This might be like an emotional experience in the presence of these jazz legends. So this is one I would sit in a time machine and definitely want to sit in on those sessions. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. So if you were to travel through a time machine and you could sit on any recording session you want, which albums would you want, which recording session and which album would you want to sit in on? Those are my 10. I could probably think of many, many others, but those are the ones that immediately come to mind. Thought that'd be an interesting topic to talk about or discuss in the comment section. But now I'm going to review. Again, I'm known for reviewing jazz albums on my videos. That's my major point of concentration. I'm going to briefly recommend 2 albums for my jazz viewing audience. And the first one is a free jazz album that was originally released in 1969 on a Blue Note label. Don Cherry, Where is Brooklyn? Again, this was released in 1969 originally. This part is a Blue Note Classic series, so this is a reissue album mastered by the great Kevin Gray. This album was originally recorded in 1966 and includes Don Cherry, cornet, Pharoah Sanders, tenor sax, and piccolo, Henry Grimes, bass, Edward Blackwell, drums. Again, this is a free jazz album. It's part of the free jazz genre. And free jazz is, I've mentioned this in several other videos, is a type of jazz that a lot of jazz aficionados have difficulty embracing because of the complexity and the way out nature of playing jazz during free jazz sessions. I think Don Cherry is a free jazz mastermind, and this album fits into that category in terms of being one of the greater works of Don Cherry, in my opinion. If you want to listen to this album, I would start with the song The Thing. I'll show this up so you can see it. The Thing is the name of the song. I would start with that song first. And just to get a vibe and groove in terms of what this album is all about. But I think that's one of the better songs on this album. And it's really great free jazz because on this particular album, oftentimes you have a very high tempo, very up tempo bass play, just speeding up the tempo, and the drum cymbal too, and the improvisational work of around that of Don Cherry and Pharoah Sanders is quite fascinating. And this is a fascinating listen if you like free jazz. Is this the greatest Don Cherry album? No, I don't think so. He had an album called Symphony for Improvisers that is quite fascinating in terms of free jazz work. If you're into free jazz, check out Don Cherry, the album called Symphony for Improvisers. That's a masterpiece. This is quite good too. This performance on this album, in terms of free jazz, I'm giving 9 and the sound a 9 because it sounds quite good. I believe Pharoah Sanders and Don Cherry, they were in alternate speakers. One was in the left speaker, one was in the right speaker, and the bass and the drums were separated out from them. An album you should definitely check out, Don Cherry, Where is Brooklyn, originally released in 1969. This album was actually recorded in 1966, but was not issued until 1969. And his masterpiece, Symphony for Improvisers, was also recorded in 1966, but issued in 1967. And the last real quick jazz review is from a underrated jazz piano player. His name is Hal Galper, and this is a Hal Galper trio, an album called Portrait. Now, this album was released on the Concord Jazz label in 1989, and it features Hal Galper piano, Ray Drummond bass, Billy Hart drums. And this is, I'll show you the song listing. This is a very good acoustic jazz recording by the Hal Galper trio. It was recorded very well too. This is one of those albums, a late night listening session, this acoustic jazz record, in my opinion. The song of note on this album is called What Is This Thing Called Love? If you want to listen to this album, listen to the song What Is This Thing Called Love first, and then listen to everything else. His version, the Hal Galper Trio's version of Giant Steps, a John Coltrane composition, is quite good as well. There's his Hal Galper's piano performance on Giant Steps is really, really good. But check out all the songs. But start with What Is This Thing Called Love on this very great acoustic jazz album by underrated piano player Hal Galper. Hal Galper played with the Cannonball Adderley Group from 1973 to 1975, and also with Phil Woods. So he was a veteran jazz piano player, a very good one at that. Check this one out on Concord Records. Check it out on YouTube, and also check out the Don Cherry one on YouTube before you consider purchasing it. But I think they're worth listening to. If you like acoustic jazz, this one, the Hal Galper Trio Portrait album. If you like free jazz, the Where is Brooklyn album by Don Cherry. They're both worth investigating in terms of your time and listening time on YouTube. Check both of them out. Now to a movie review. The movie is called F1, that starred Brad Pitt. That stars, actually, I should say, Brad Pitt and Damson Idris in this movie. F1, that was released this year, 2025. As of the posting date of this video, I saw the movie a couple of days ago. It is a sensational cinematic masterpiece in terms of, the filming. It was an aesthetic joy to listen to, and I really was intrigued by the way they showed the technological advances in the modern technology of F1 racing as it is today. They really do a great job of taking you behind the scenes of the way that F1, the team sport of F1, they even use that phrase in the movie F1. It's a team sport, but it was a really great movie to watch, and I highly recommend it, especially if you're an auto racing fan. If I would give the movie a score, I'd give it somewhere between an 8.5 and a 9. Now, in prepping to see the movie F1, before I saw F1, I saw this movie, I looked at this movie again, I've seen it several times over the years. This movie called Grand Prix came out in 1966, starring James Garner, Yves Montand, and Eva Marie Saint. And again, came out in 1966. This too is a cinematic marvel if you take this movie in the context of the time. And they too, at the time, take you behind the scenes of auto racing. Like I said, it was a film insanely well. You know, great aerial views for 1966. I love the style of the cars back then as well. That's my favorite style of Formula One cars for some reason. And the story is good. The acting is actually real good by James Garner, Eva Marie Saint, and Yves Montand. And if I were to compare and contrast and judge the two movies, which one's the best, Grand Prix or F1, I'm choosing Grand Prix. Grand Prix, I would give a 9.5 on a scale of 1 to 10. It's just like I said, it's a cinematic marvel. And it holds up in terms of, you know, the racing action, the story, and so on and so forth. I think this Grand Prix is better than F1, and F1 is a great movie, but I think Grand Prix is better in my opinion. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Have you seen F1 and have you seen Grand Prix? There's another movie I watched in preparation for seeing F1, and that is the Steve McQueen movie called Le Mans. But Le Mans, as good as it is not as good as F1 or Grand Prix. Le Mans had a very interesting filming technique in that there was very little dialogue in Grand Prix, Le Mans, in the first probably 30 to 40 minutes of the film. There was very little dialogue in that movie, but that was a very interesting filming concept. But check out Grand Prix featuring Steve McQueen. I think this is a granddaddy of all when it comes to racing movies. I know there's Ford versus Ferrari is quite good, but this is, to me, this is a gold standard when it comes to racing movies. As good as F1 is, Grand Prix is the best one in my mind. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. This fit James Garner perfectly. I can't think of any actor at that time who could have played this role as well as James Garner. I think the only one that comes to mind immediately is probably Robert Culp. Robert Culp could have probably played this role, probably not as well as James Garner, but he could have played the role. But Robert Culp at the time was involved in the TV series I Spy, and they were filming all over the world. There's no way Robert Culp could have done this movie, but this was prime James Garner in terms of his, you know, physical aesthetics and his, you know, acting prowess. This was James Garner in his prime as far as I'm concerned. So if you haven't seen Grand Prix, check it out. And also check out F1. It was really worth the price of admission. Please leave your comments in the comments section below. I really appreciate that. And also consider donating to my channel via the PayPal donation link in the description below. I really appreciate that. That'll help me purchase records for review. And also there's some Amazon affiliate links in the description below. And if you buy some of those products, I get a commission for those products. That'll help me out going forward. But even if you don't buy those products, through those Amazon affiliate links, and go through those Amazon affiliate links and buy something you really want to purchase for yourself, I'll still get a commission for that sale or those sales, as long as you go through the Amazon affiliate links to Amazon and purchase what you really need. I really appreciate that. Thank you for that consideration. Thank you very much for viewing my video. Please like and subscribe. God bless, strong love, and keep the peace worldwide.